Hi, we're the claps.
My name's Seth. I work at a Chevy dealership here in Boone, North Carolina.
My name's Alex. I own my own flower shop here in Boone, North Carolina.
And we have been married for 7 years now. And we have been recently trying to have a kid. After the first year of trying to have a baby, we went to a doctor, to find out what was going on and what was wrong. So after a year, they pretty much told us that we're infertile, but we really didn't believe that because we were stubborn and hard-headed. So we just decided, let's just try it for a little bit longer, and that little bit of time turned into another year, and so now it's been 2 years, and we're trying to have a kid, and we want a kid. Yeah, exactly.
So I guess now we're just wanting to look into other options, see what's out there. I guess our criteria is we're really just wanting a baby. I know people like adopt toddlers and stuff, but I've just always dreamed of having like a baby. So I feel like that's number one on our list. And then price, we want to keep it on the cheaper end of maybe all the options, but I feel like us having a baby is more important. So
Right, I agree.
So whatever's the best option and safest and has the biggest success rate, then I feel like we're willing to put however much money into that.
Mhm.
Okay. Right now we're going to head to see Alexis Birch, who is an owner of a surrogacy agency here in Boone. So we're going to go see what she has to say about surrogacy.
Hey, you must be Alex and Seth. I'm Alexis Birch, owner of Holland Surrogacy. I can answer any questions you might have today.
Okay.
So what brings you guys in today?
We're just wanting to know more about surrogacy.
Okay, so there are two types of surrogacy. There is traditional and there is gestational. Traditional surrogacy refers to a contractual situation where a woman agrees to become impregnated, typically by artificial insemination, using her own egg and the sperm of another man, which is usually the intended father of the child. She will agree to carry the child to term and thereafter relinquish her parental rights to the child. Because the surrogate uses her own egg, she is considered the biological, genetic, and the gestational mother of the resulting child. So the other type is gestational. And gestational refers to a contractual situation where a woman agrees to have in vitro fertilization, fertilized embryo implanted into her uterus, and then agrees to carry the resulting child to term. And she further agrees to relinquish her parental rights upon birth of the child.
So, out of those two, what's the most common type?
So currently there are only numbers reporting on gestational surrogacy. There is no data on the use of traditional. But while we do not know which method is more common, the tremendous cost of in vitro fertilization as compared to artificial insemination suggests that many intended parents will likely choose traditional surrogacy despite the appeal of having a genetic link to the child. But nevertheless, the statistics we do have, they reveal an exploding market, one that nearly doubled from 2004 to 2008, producing a total of 5,238 babies over just 4 years, and this rate just keeps growing.
Wow. So how much does this cost?
So surrogates can be paid anywhere between $12,000 and $25,000 per pregnancy, with the consensus rate falling at $20,000. Yet the cost to intended parents can be much greater, running from $40,000 to $120,000 when medical and legal bills are included.
Okay, what are some of the negatives?
So the process of surrogacy can be complicated. Gestational surrogacy involves very complex medical procedures and surrogacy laws. Legal processes can be overwhelming at times. It is important to work closely with a trusted professional to ensure the process is completed safely and legally. And also, surrogacy costs can be very significant because of the number of people and services required to complete a successful surrogacy. And also, surrogacy requires you to let go of some control. And while intended parents typically enjoy a greater sense of control over the child and involvement, you'll need to relinquish some of that control and trust your surrogate to make sure she takes care of the baby.
So why would you suggest that we choose surrogacy?
So there are some cons to surrogacy, and this path to parenthood isn't right for everyone. But most families created through surrogacy will agree that once you hold your child for the first time, the advantages far outweigh the problems with surrogacy. So do you have any more questions today about surrogacy?
Not right now.
Not that I know of.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. You guys
Yeah,
can call
thank
anytime
you.
and we'll help.
So babe, how did you feel about the surrogacy thing?
I felt like it was an okay option. I mean, I definitely want to keep my options open, but I don't know. It's just you're putting a lot of trust in someone else, to make sure that they do everything right during their pregnancy, like they eat right and they exercise, and they don't just sit around all day and like smoke or do any like type of drugs or anything. But I feel like
It is through an agency, so the possibility of that happening is lower, and I do really just want like a baby, and that is a way for that to happen. But
Right.
I do feel like we should keep our options open and keep looking.
right. I definitely agree.
Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page, babe.
Me too.
The pros of surrogacy are that we will have a genetic link to our child. I wouldn't have to carry the pregnancy on my own, and we would definitely get a newborn. The cons are it is very expensive, the child would have another parent, and we'd have to trust the surrogate to take care of herself and the baby for 9 months.
Okay, so right now I'm about to go head out to meet Steve Martin. He is an adoption consultant person here in Boone, and I really wish you could come with me, babe.
I do too, but I have a conference to go to, and so I can't really miss it.
I'll let you know what happens.
All right. Mia.
Hi, you must be Steve.
Hey, yes, and you're Alex?
Yes, nice
Yes,
to
it's
meet
nice
you.
to meet you. So, how can I help you today?
Me and my husband were wanting to look into adoption, and we just wanted to know anything you can tell us. Just
Okay, well, really, I mean, you have two options. You have domestic and international. And with international, the top three countries that kids are brought over from really are China, Russia, and South Korea. And so, with China being the leading country that a lot of kids come from, but if you're looking more like for a gender necessarily, like if you're looking for male or female, China, typically females will come out of China, and it's really a split with Russia, so you really have a good, even choice. And typically more males come out of South Korea. So it really just kind of depends on, what you're looking at, like gender-wise.
okay, and how much does international adoption usually cost?
It's usually a wide range depending on like many different, ideas and different things. But typically in China it's $15,000 to $25,000. So it's pretty high. But when you go to Russia and South Korea, you're looking at roughly $25,000 to $35,000. So it's even more expensive than China. And I know that that's really expensive. I know it's kind of hard to take in, but that's just through all the process and the legal fees and stuff like that. That's the process you go through.
And how long does it usually take to get a child through international process?
Typically in China, it's the longest, even though you spend the least amount of money when you're talking about international adoption, it's 36 to 48 months is an average,
Oh wow.
for an adoption process to take place. But when you're talking about Russia, it's more of 9 to 11 months, or even South Korea, it's usually 1 to 3 years. So it's a little bit less, and I know that's a wide range and it can be, but
Yeah.
it's just on average.
So what are the chances, like me and my husband really want an infant? Could that happen with international adoption, or should we look at different options?
Really, the best chance you would have is looking into China, just because usually about 84% of the kids that come out of China are 2 years or younger. So
But I
that's,
want like a baby.
I know,
Not like a
and that's-
2-year-old.
and I know that's it's kind of hard to explain because if you really want an infant, then you should definitely stay away from Russia because you have a very small chance. South Korea.
Should we do domestic then if I'm wanting a?
Domestic, probably you would have a better chance of actually getting an infant, what you're really looking for. So it doesn't seem you're as interested in international adoption as you might be in domestic adoption. So if you'll hang on one second, I will email a friend I have here in the office and she can meet with you tomorrow. Can you meet tomorrow at 1 o'clock?
I can't, my husband can, is that okay?
Okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, so I met with the international adoption consultant guy, and it doesn't really seem like it's the way for us. So there's a meeting tomorrow at 1 for you. I can't make it, but I figured you could just
Yeah,
me know.
I think I'm free tomorrow, so that works out perfect.
Perfect.
The pros of international adoption are there are a lot of children in the world that need a home. You know the average cost of the overall process, and you get to travel to the child's home country and experience their culture and the world that they grew up in. The cons is you have to travel to the child's home country and get passports and vaccines and pay for all of the travel expenses on top of adopting the child. It's very unlikely that we'd get a newborn infant. There would be possible developmental delays and other problems related to institutionalization with the child and how it grew up, and there's a lot of required paperwork.
Oh, hey, come in. You must be Seth.
Yes, it's nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Jolene. Sit down. So, I heard that you guys were interested in domestic adoption. Is that?
Yeah, because we looked at international adoption and we don't think we're interested in that.
Do you know why? Like, for what?
Well, we're really looking for an infant. That's what
Okay.
and international adoption is not really geared toward infants as much.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I was just wondering what kind of help you could provide me with information.
Okay, well, the most popular kind of domestic adoption is through a public agency. And this is usually adopting kids who have been in the foster care system. But those are usually, again, not infants, they're 8 and older. You can get children and babies, it's just not as common. So I refer you to a licensed private agency. These are agencies that are set up for pregnant women who aren't really sure if they want to keep the baby but don't want to have an abortion. So that they can come in and the agency, so if you guys were a couple, you guys would fill out forms and let them know who you are and pretty much everything about you, and they'd have a file and give it to the pregnant women who are looking for couples. And so they'd look at your file and decide if you seem like people that they want to give their child to. So
they actually like conduct these interviews and stuff?
Yes.
So, okay.
So they can choose to meet with you, and
Okay.
they'll probably want to see your home, see how you guys interact with each other, and what kind of family unit you would make, and if they feel comfortable giving their baby to you. And if they do, then it'll usually the mothers like to be kind of part of your lives until they have the baby, and the rights are signed away at the hospital right after the baby is born. So you guys would get the baby right out of the womb. So you guys would have an infant to take care of, and it would be an infant.
Right.
That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is through an independent adoption. This is pretty much the same process, except it's just not through an agency. The agency helps you get connected with these women who are looking to give their babies away. Through independent, it's independent. If you know someone who's pregnant and wants to give you their baby, then you don't have to go through an agency, you just have to get a certain lawyer, and they have to do all the paperwork and stuff for that.
So
but I'm
it's
guessing,
more like on your own, like
Yeah.
so you have to find somebody pregnant, like
Yes.
you can't. Okay.
I'm guessing in your guys' situation, you guys don't know someone who's pregnant who wants to give you their baby, so I'd
Right.
suggest going through the agency. And that's probably the best way that I could see you guys getting an infant, because it might take a while because you guys have to go through an interview process and you might not get chosen, and it might be a long time coming, and who knows how far along the woman is who decides to pick you. So it might be a little bit longer of a process, but it definitely will be worth it if you're wanting an infant.
So I have one more question for you about how much would this cost? Like, how does it
Oh yes, it varies a lot. It can cost between $5,000 to $40,000. It really depends how far along the woman is, and if she does pick you, then you guys will probably help her with birthing classes and like the social work that is involved in that, and counseling for her, and there's just a lot of stuff that goes into it, and so it really, really varies. So it's hard to give you a good estimate because it's such a wide range.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Yes, of
And
course.
me and my wife will be in touch with you.
Awesome.
And I hope you have a great day.
Nice to meet you. You too.
Hey.
Hey, babe. How did it go?
It went pretty good. I think I know the option that we probably need to go, and it's licensed private agency adoption.
Oh, really? What's
Yeah.
that? Here, show me.
Okay.
The pros of domestic adoption are we can adopt an infant. We also get to learn the background of the child's birth parents, which may include social, educational, and health history, which is very important. We are regularly updated on the health of the birth mother and the baby throughout the entire pregnancy. It may be less expensive than international adoption, and there's no international travel. The cons of domestic adoption is the birth mother can choose to keep the baby up until she signs away her rights after birth. Wait time to get matched is estimated, so we're not sure how long we'd have to wait.
I'm really actually kind of excited about the whole adoption through the agency thing. Like, I'm really excited because, you know, this kid probably wouldn't be loved if he stayed in, you know, their family. This child wouldn't. So, I don't know. I feel like we would be doing them a service, but we would also obviously want a child. So, are you okay?
I don't know.
Are you okay? What's wrong?
I just feel like I'm a woman. It's my job to like bring babies into this world, and I'm just like taking another woman's baby.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, we can't help it. I mean, at this point.
I feel like I need to call Lindsay. I'm gonna go call Lindsay. I need to talk to her about this.
Okay.
Hey girl.
Hey, can I talk to you?
Yeah, what's up?
I don't know, I'm just freaking out about this whole pregnancy thing, and I just feel like since you've been through this that maybe we could talk.
Yeah, you wanna come over?
Yes, please.
Okay, great, I'll see you in a few.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
So me and Alex are going to visit with Lindsay. That's one of her lifelong friends, and it turns out that last year Lindsay thought she was infertile, but through treatments with her doctor and things, she was actually able to go through the pregnancy and have a baby. So we just wanted to know further information.
Hey girl!
Hey, thank you for having us over.
Of course, hey Seth.
Hey Lindsay, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
So what's up?
I just wanted to talk to you. Felt like, can you explain to me exactly what you went through and the whole process and everything?
Yeah. I did the intrauterine insemination, which is a very long process and it's super annoying, but it's whatever. You undergo a series of tests like ultrasounds and all kinds of stuff, making sure like they know when you're pregnant and when you're gonna, not when you're pregnant, not that, but like when you're ovulating and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they do a lot of tests on you, and then you have to take fertility drugs, which takes a while because it has to get lined up with your menstruation process. So that can take a while depending on what's going on with you. And then the men have to produce their sperm, and they can do it at home, or they can do it in the doctor's office, you know, whatever. And then it's a painless procedure, and they take they place a speculum, like the sperm, inside your vag through and they put, like, it's complicated, because it's like a speculum, and they put a catheter in your vag, basically. And then
Lovely.
they put it into your cervix, and then they feed the sperm through the catheter, and then you're probably going to have a baby after that. And then the risk of it are infection and this thing called OSS, which is very unheard of, and you're probably not going to get it, but it just means ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, which is very rare. So I didn't get it.
So did this process? I know you're pregnant now, but did it work for you the first time, or like how many?
Unfortunately, no. We had to do this twice, and we were really close to having to go to a different process, which is called like intrauterine fertilization. Because if it doesn't work for you 3 times, you have to go to a different method. But luckily, for the second time, it worked for my husband and I. So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. So how much did it cost with having to do it multiple?
Overall, it was $10,000 because it's $5 the first time and then $5 the second time. So,
Okay.
yeah. And the success rate, whenever we went into it, was a 10 to 20% chance, and it varies with age. So if you're 35 or 40, the risk decreases a lot. And so, yeah, it's only a 10 to 20% chance that you're actually going to get pregnant. So that's
so
why.
small.
Yeah, that's why it can take more than 1 or 2 times. And if you reach the 3rd time and it doesn't work, then you have to move to something else.
Wow.
You're ready.
So, is this something that you would suggest for us, or
Well, considering you're 34 and the chances of you getting pregnant decreases drastically with this procedure, and it's $5,000 a pop, and it took me and Corey 2 times, and we're $10,000 in debt now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I were you, I would go a different route, but that's just personally what I would do.
Okay, because we just finished talking to some specialists and like I have some notes on it and we were thinking about.
The pros of artificial insemination are that if we're lucky, we could get pregnant. We would have our own child and I would get to carry it. The cons are is that it can be very expensive and there is a little chance that it will work, especially at my age.
So do you feel better after talking to Lindsay?
I really do. I feel at peace now that maybe I'm not supposed to have a baby and we can, take a baby that needs us,
Right. Yeah, that's what I really like about this whole adoption process. There's a bigger chance for success, obviously. There's not as much room for failure in this, and that we'll actually have an infant of our own.
Yes, it'll be awesome. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Yay!